Okay guys, this is a huge moment for me. Right here, this is my 125 gallon long aquarium. It is 6 foot tall. It's actually closer to 6'2" or 6'3", with the trim on it. But you've seen, I think you've seen this tank in a few of my videos before. Whenever I was talking about the 75, I mentioned fixing this tank. Now I will say they are not pretty, but let's see if I can, that'll be a little low. They're not pretty, but these are very wide. They're pretty much an inch wide, and I'm pretty sure they only say to go about as wide as your glass is thick. And then this glass up here is 1/2 inch thick, and I hope that this isn't an issue right in here near the top. The bottom is pretty good, and this is the worst corner. I had to take this tank completely apart all the way down to I had these individual pieces of trim off and down to the bare glass. I scraped it for 3 days, about 3 or 4 hours a day for 3 days. I alcohol cleaned it like 4 or 5 times. The silicone did stick well. It's good contact to the tank. It's just there's a few spots where a 6 foot tank is super hard to do by yourself. Now I did have my brother help me put the glass panes in place, because like I said, they're 6 feet tall, 22 inches from top to bottom, and 1/2 inch thick the front and back are. They are probably pushing 80 or 100 pounds a piece on the front and back alone. The side pane is about 3/8 thick. So to put that into perspective, my 75 gallon, the whole entire tank is maybe 3/8 inch, but I'm pretty sure it's only like 1/4 inch. It's 1/4 inch or 3/8 one, but this whole entire tank, the smallest piece of glass, which is the sides, are 3/8 thick, which is massive for glass. And a whopping 1/2 inch. Now you will notice that right here in the middle there is no bracing, and you can look this over. There is not any spaces. There's no breaks, there's no splits, it's not cracked. There was no bracing on this tank. This tank was solely held together by the sheer weight and size, well, not weight of the glass, but the thickness of the glass to keep it from bowing out, and the silicone. So that is why I went super thick on the silicone. This bead went pretty good until around here, and then I started to run out of silicone in the bead roller thing, which I just used my old school lunch card, cut a huge chunk out of it. so I kind of had to spread it with my finger, but right in there even, it's very good contact. This thing is also like 3/8 thick. Very sturdy base. The only thing I was sort of worried about was maybe these pieces coming apart, because these pieces were just siliconed onto the top, and like silicone together right here. They weren't really ever, this piece was never really part of this. It was just silicone bond. So this really does no structural thing a whole lot, but I have like 3 or 4 layers of like the packaging tape. It is super strong whenever you try to pull it apart. I've got like 3 different layers. It's short here, and then it's a little bit thicker here, and then all the way down to here. So it's a very thick joint of tape right up here. So hopefully it's on all 4. We are going to get behind here and hopefully we'll have to turn the light off because I'm going to need both hands. This is very thick glass, so it can handle some abuse, but I want to be as gentle as I can with it. Start leaning it my way. And like I said, these panes are super heavy. So moving this whole tank is pretty hard on the back as it is. So we're going to go ahead and carefully let it hit my chest. Bring her down slow, riding the chest slowly, and then I just want to gradually bring it off of that lip. And then down. Watch the fingers. And she's on the ground. Alright. Good and out of the way. Whew. That takes a lot out of you. So, okay, let's. Alright, so 125 is on the ground. You can kind of see the silicone a little better. I promise, I know it looks rough, but it's super thick, and I think it'll hold pretty good. But that is why you're supposed to do a water test outside. It's kind of chilly out here. It's 40s, maybe 50s. But we're going to go ahead and stretch this water hose out. And I don't want to have any water get on the tank. I don't know how I'm going to be able to keep that still. Maybe like that. My goal is just fill it up and let it sit for several hours. Just really put a test on that silicone. There's a little crink. I remember seeing this. Excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the kink out so it doesn't continue to cause problems, which it is wanting to do just that. There may be a little bit of ice in this line because it's not too, it is cold for sure. Alright, that's a good sign. I want to hurry up and okay. Now we sit back, say some prayers, a lot of prayers, and watch for water. Now, if I said I wasn't skeptical, I would be lying. I really don't know how this is going to go. I really hope it holds. But I have kind of been given some thought as to what I would do if it does split again. And honestly, I would probably just try to make a plywood tank out of it. Use the panes and make a 7 or 8 foot plywood tank. I don't really know where I would put it. Okay guys, we are currently looking at about 3/4 full. Absolutely no signs of leaks, squeaks, creaks, or, well, what's in it there? Man, I tell you, this is exciting, you guys. That's just flashing, I guess what you'd call just overspill. But, ooh, that water's cold. Oh yeah, soon as that water hit the silicone, it hardened up, which is what it did for the, that water is so cold, which is what it did for the 39 gallon. That's the only other tank that I've resealed, guys. Like, I hit this with a lot of anxiety. Like, I'm telling you what, taking this thing apart made me sick. Like, I second guessed taking it apart. I tried to find the information on, like, whether I really needed to go all the way in and take it completely apart, or if I could just get away with doing the inner seals. And I figured that this thing has already split twice. The inside silicone was blue, which I do believe is aquarium silicone, so factory silicone. In a 31-year-old aquarium, it needed to be replaced. So I bit down, I crunched up, and I got it done, and it was terrifying. It kept me up at night, literally, because I'm so passionate about this kind of stuff. I love fish, I love aquariums. I did not want this to go wrong, and there was so many opportunities and ways it could have went horribly wrong. Anywhere from the glass, not just the tank itself not going together is a lot of risk. It splitting again was a risk. a glass pane that weighs almost 100 pounds falling on your foot would pretty much amputate your foot or come super close, because that was very sharp glass edges. But I don't know how well you can see that, but we are nearing completely full. Again, I'm getting sketched out too. That's all on the outside, but I'm seeing this thin layer of silicone that looks so much like water beads, and having many heart attacks and strokes all up in here. But we are very close to completely full, and I mean, knock on wood, and I said a prayer. I asked my little sister and my mother both to say a prayer that this goes well. I'm telling you guys, pray. I mean, Kendall does it, I'll do it. It's a smart thing to do. You always gotta pray. But like I said, knock on wood, said a prayer. It has not creaked, it has not popped, it has not even made any sort of a sound of I'm not happy. But it does still have to sustain this amount of water for a substantial amount of time before, yeah, porch is pretty level, before I feel comfortable with bringing it back inside. I'm going to let it sit overnight. It's not going to get cold enough for any of the water to freeze. I know you're not supposed to leave aquariums outside for long extended periods of time because they shrink and expand and shrink and expand and shrink and expand. And that causes wear on silicone, but that's also like older silicone. As it shrinks and expands, the glass shrinks and expands. The silicone isn't as sticky, and it starts to lose its bond. Therefore, as it's shrinking and expanding, it's pulling loose from the glass, causing leaks and bad issues. This is brand new silicone, just like 4 days old. I let this sit for 4 days with all that super thick silicone. I let it sit for 4 days. That water hose moved and the tape clicked, and I leaked on myself a little bit, not gonna lie. But yeah, we are nearing completely full. I'm going to go turn the water off and call it there. So, immediate result, great. No beating, no leakage, and I'm just so terrified to listen to it just go and just explode. Yeah. Second aquarium I have rebuilt, period. By far the biggest ever. You know, the first one I did was that 39 gallon in there, and it is like 3 feet wide or long or whatever. So much smaller than this. Alright. Alright, no leakage outside of the tank. Oh crap, quit that. Outside of the tank is dry, and we just come back out in the morning and hope it's not destroyed. That didn't come apart. The silicone, this just outer edge of the rim itself, yeah, this stuff isn't moving. The silicone is 100% holding this tank together right now. And looking at the glass, aside from the fact that the piece of plastic itself may be a bit warped, the glass, there is no warping. That 125 or that 6-foot half-inch thick glass is super strong, you guys. And just its ability to resist flexing can give that silicone the hold it needs. The flexing is what causes tanks to really give up, I believe. Because whenever it starts to flex, that inside bead starts to get pulled on. So, I'm going to go ahead. It is like 2 o'clock in the morning. Actually, no, it's more like closer to 12:30 or 1. But, I'll go ahead and come back in the morning and we will see what she looks like. You guys, I know it might not mean much to you. Y'all might be just as excited as I am. I don't know, but this is absolutely huge for me. I've wanted this tank to be an aquarium for so long, but I was always I didn't know how I was going to do it. And then one day, I don't know, the spark ignited and I just started looking, and I come across the King of DIY. I had been watching him way before, but I didn't know he had made a video on how to rebuild glass aquariums. So I started watching it. He didn't rebuild nothing this big. He rebuilt like the size of that 39 in there. But it gave me the confidence to think or to realize it can be done. Yeah, look how straight that top beam is. 125s are these. January 2nd. This tank was made in January 2nd, 1989. 31 years old, and it was almost made on my birthday. It was 8 days before my birthday, just several years later. So, yeah, this tank is officially 7 years older than me by 7 years and 8 days. Well, I don't know. Well, enough blabbering. I'm so excited. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, so I know I said I was going to wait until I was going to check it in the morning, but it's actually the next night. Whenever I said I was going to check it, I just went ahead and let it sit for the rest of the morning, or the rest of the evening. So it is actually the night of the morning that I said I was going to check it. So I had to drain it. It went flawlessly. It worked. It's holding water beautifully. So now next step is to, actually that might be even too much water to pick it up. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna set this light right here so I don't cause a pressure point in the glass. See if I can pull it. Oh goodness. And it kind of just took a second to break loose. Oh! Okay, it is still heavy. That is very heavy. Now, the super dangerous part that I do not ever recommend, especially with a tank this big. Picking it up with an inch of water over 6 foot. It's not super heavy, but it's not the most lightest thing in the world either, for sure. When we'll set it up, splash the water out as much as I can, tilt it, and lay it back down, and then scoot it through the house. Get a finger underneath it. I can't get a finger. I can't get nothing under it. Come on. If I could just get the water. There we go. Don't slip, don't slip, don't slip. Okay. That's enough water out of it. I want to get this thing inside. I'm going to go ahead and end off the video. Just wanted to show you guys this was a success. I got a little too excited and wanted to get it inside, so I started draining it before I could get a camera on it. So I apologize, but it's ready. It's ready to go up on the stand. That's what I'm getting ready to do right now. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching. I'll see you in the next video. Later. But I would love to make a plywood tank, and having this very thick glass would be really positive for this to make a plywood aquarium. Now I do want to say that these corners, that is not water, that is just a thin strip of silicone. That is also silicone. Well, like I said, I follow a philosophy of welding that I would carry over to this. It does not have to be pretty to be strong. The bottom is where most of the thin spots are, and not only does it have a very thick coat of silicone along the bottom, I went back and forth to make sure that the silicone got into every spot on the bottom, but also it has the base itself, so we're looking good for strength, but I just cannot help but be afraid, because it just does something, put something in your head whenever you have had this. This is a large tank. To some it might not be, but a 125 is the beginning of giant aquariums. A 75 is moderate. I would consider to be the beginning of getting into big aquariums, but a 125 is the first level of big aquarium. And I have a 75. It's 4 long, 2 wide, and 22 inches tall. I do believe it's pretty much this size. except it's only 4 feet long. So we're just looking here. It's good so far, no puddling. So yeah, I'm going to jump off here, keep a close eye on it, and I will get back with you guys whenever it is close to full or if something catastrophic happens.